Okay. So I definitely did not plan to come on here and have a moment to just talk with you guys. Sorry. I'm just wiping away some tears. But I'm sorry. Pull yourself together, Mr. Francy. I have finished Mistborn. And I'm going to say this. If I have ever cried with a book before, I do not remember it at all. I don't think I cried with Harry Potter. Oh my gosh. So this is just a very quick part one of a review, and I'm going to do a much more detailed review in part two, but because I've literally just finished this less than a minute ago, I wanted to come on here and show you my reaction to the ending of this book. Brandon Sanderson, oh my god, I'm trying not to cry. Brandon Sanderson, where have you been all my life? This book is amazing, and I am not overstating that. I would have no reason to. The purpose of this channel is for me to be as transparent as I can be about books. If I don't like a book, I'm going to tell you. If I'm going to DNF a book, I'll tell you why. Mistborn is... it's the perfect book. It's going to get my first 5-star review. It's just that incredible. It really is. So, yeah, I just wanted to take a moment to thank Brandon Sanderson for such a wonderful experience. A little earlier today, I was, well, it's funny because today's Monday and I said that I'll finish this by Wednesday night, and it's Monday night and I'm done. But a little earlier today, when I was on lunch break at work, I was reading, obviously reading this book. This is the only thing I need to sustain me on my break, and I'm not going to give away spoilers in this video, but I will say this. Something happened that made me very angry with Brandon Sanderson, and I don't know if you have seen the film Misery or read the book Misery, but I got up from my bench that I was sitting on after having read this particular scene, and I thought, here we go, bring on Misery Part 2 starring Mr. Francy and Brandon Sanderson, because I'm really pissed off at him right now. And yeah, I really, really was, and I had to do everything I could to really calm myself at work, especially after lunch, because I was angry, I was pissed off at him. Big time for something that he did in this book. Anyway, I don't want to spoil what it was, and so I won't. At least on this one. In part 2, I'm spoiling everything, but not in part 1. Anyway, so I went back into work, tried to calm myself down, eventually came home, and I was mulling it over. You know, ever since I'd read that particular scene, mulling over how Brandon Sanderson could do this, and you know, and just getting really emotional about it. And then when I got home, I reflected upon how emotional I was over a scene in a book, and what I realized was that there was no way that I would have gotten as angry. Like, I probably went past angry to just pissed off. Like, seriously, if I could have gotten Brandon Sanderson on the line, he would have had a piece of my mind. And I realized I would not have been as emotional as I was if I wasn't so strongly invested in this book. I knew I was. I thought that I would enjoy this book before I started reading it, but after reading the first 2-3 chapters, I was so engrossed in this book that it was literally 90% of the time was all I ever thought about. And if I wasn't reading the book 90% of the time, I was upset with the fact that I was unable to read the book, whether it was because I had to eat a meal or because I had to go to bed, because I had work the next day, because I was at work and you can't really pull out a book while you're working as much as I would love to. So I was really angry with him, but the anger upon reflection made me realize just how invested I actually was in this book, which is a really good thing. He really, he tugged at my emotions in a very big way. And that is just, further showing just how amazing a writer this guy is. He has, I said this already in past reading vlogs. For me personally, Brandon Sanderson has transcended my reading experience. This book is one of a kind. But anyway, the reason why I'm here now is because in the final chapter, when we reach the climax, there's a climax that occurs, I started bawling my eyes out. Just a moment, sorry. Okay, I'm back. I started bawling my eyes out. Oh my gosh, it was uncontrollably. And again, I don't want to give away spoilers in this part, but the climax itself was just so well written. Oh my god. That I couldn't help but cry. And I don't know. I don't have any issues with crying, but I don't know. One thing that I admired is that because of how engrossed I was in the book, I knew that I was crying, but I didn't care that I was crying. I just kept reading it through the, through the blurred vision of the tears that were coming down my eyes. Like, seriously, it sounds like I'm just, saying words, but it's literally what was happening. My eyes were, like, all blurry because of the tears, but I'm still reading because I'm so engrossed in what's going on. And then there's an epilogue after the final chapter is over, and I thought, okay, this is good. I'll get the chance to kind of calm down a little bit, and I did, and there was, the epilogue had a nice little lull in it. It's like the climax is over, and now we just have a lulling moment, which is nice because it really brought me back down to earth. And there were even some little humorous moments here and there, and I was laughing and I was feeling a lot better. And then the last page, oh my gosh, like the last 2 pages, in fact, I started crying again, but not for as long. And then I stopped. The second last page, I started crying again, and then I stopped, and I was fine. And I kept reading, and I wasn't crying until, and again, this just goes to show how great Brandon Sanderson is as a writer, until the very last line of the freaking book. Oh my god, I'm such a sap, seriously. The very last line, and I am bawling my eyes out, not because I had finished the book, because if this was a standalone book, I would understand that part of the reason why I'm crying is because I'm at the end of the book, but it's not. This is part of a series. I still have, 2 more books at least, if not like 5 or 6 more books to read. So, and trust me, I will definitely be getting through, definitely going to read book 2. Unless book 2 lets me down, I'll definitely be reading book 3. And we'll go from there. But it was just after everything everything you go through, or at least everything that I went through reading this book, the final line could not have been any better. It could not have been any more satisfying. And for those of you who have read Harry Potter, and even if you haven't read Harry Potter, this doesn't really give away anything, I guess. But the last line of Harry Potter and the last one, Harry Potter and the last outing, what's it called? Harry Potter and the Deathly Hallows. The last line in Harry Potter and the Deathly Hallows is all is well, or all was well, or something like that. And it's a really great, nice way to end the book. And I felt light and happy when I read that, but I wasn't crying. But with this one, I was crying. So I cried at least 3 separate times in the course of the final chapter and the epilogue. And 2 chapters before that, I was pissed off at Brandon Sanderson. And every waking moment, at least a part of me was engrossed in this book. And even whether I was reading it or not, I just have become so consumed by this book. But I'm going to say this again, and I'll end it with this, because what I'm going to do now is, so as you guys may recall, if you've seen my goal setting for 2020, one of my goals was to read a book suggested by a booktuber. And I have this booktuber that I love, and I've anonymously spoken about her for a while now. She definitely recommended this book. She loves this book. And what I planned on doing the moment I finished reading it was to watch her review, her spoiler review on it. And so I always planned on doing that before I did my own spoiler review, because I just want to see her actual thoughts. And I'd been holding off on her thoughts all the way through this book. So I am going to go and do that. And then, I don't know, probably at some point tomorrow or something like that, I'll do my own and I'll discuss it with you. But there is a lot to discuss there. Really is. Just so much to talk about that I really don't know how long I'm going to need to actually fully discuss this in a way that justifies this book, because there is, not only is it such a great book, but there is just so much to talk about, unlike other books that I've read so far this year that were very one-dimensional compared to this one. But I will end by saying this. Once again, I'm going to say, Brandon Sanderson, thank you. You have literally, emotionally, physically, mentally transcended the reading experience for me. And I never thought I would say that about a book. I've been reading ever since I was a child. Granted, I took the last 2 years off for whatever reason. I just didn't read. But ever since I knew how to read, and that was at a very young age. I think I started reading when I was about 4 or 5. I always loved reading. But there was never a book that had me so emotionally involved as this one. So, regardless of what the second book, The Well of Ascension, or any of his other books may do, I need to sit here and say, Brandon Sanderson, I am in your debt. Thank you for writing such an amazing book that if J.K. Rowling got children back into reading, Brandon Sanderson transcends reading. He really does. So, just so much love and appreciation for Brandon Sanderson. All right, I will leave that there, and I will come back with a part 2 at some point. I don't know when. Once I've calmed down and really taken a moment to, just breathe, I guess. But yeah, and then we'll do a full-on spoiler review and talk about everything, because as I said, there's just so much to talk about. But in the meantime, I'm letting you guys go with peace, blessings, and so much love. And my one wish for you guys is that you find a book that takes you to the place that this book has taken me. Again, Brandon Sanderson, thank you so very much. Alright guys, letting you go with peace, blessings, and so much love, and I'll see you in the next one. Mwah. Bye guys. Bye.